Job 35374. This is the revision 1 quantities and changes. So I went on site and I made a video afterwards. I walked around the whole entire property with the guys from West Bank and then the guys from JTN who West Bank hired to do this work. So far they've done a pretty good job of clearing areas out. They're getting a lot of areas cleared out for us. This is work that goes October, November, December. It might just be November and December at this point, but we'll see. But I found some revisions. So I have an on-site drawing or an on-site video that shows what's out there currently. And then I have this video with all the quantities based on what I saw. Okay, so let's start off with number 1, curb. You can go right through this, Jamie, but I wanted to talk it through so that way it made sense. But I made it pretty descriptive and detailed. So the curbing that goes all the way around the property, we need to delete in Rev 1 here, we need to delete the removal of existing curb on Minor Avenue. So we need to delete 318 feet. There's no curb there now. So there's no curbing here to remove. I originally bid to remove curbing here on Minor. Okay, the placement of curb still stays the same. So the amount that we have in there of placement stays the same because we will be doing curbing all the way around. New curbing goes in all around, just no removal here. Okay, number 2, on the grind and overlay on Minor Avenue, we need to increase the dimension to 5,153 square feet. Can't remember what it was on the original spreadsheet, but we need to increase the grind and overlay on Minor to 5,153 square feet. So instead of doing this little thing like we got going on here, there's a detail. The detail is on page 21 of 57 on the street improvements, where it shows to only go 10 feet out on the asphalt restoration. And in parentheses, they put grind and overlay. So we're only going out 10 feet, but we're doing the entire road all the way through. Okay, so that's why we got to increase it to 5,153 square feet. Number 3, dirt backfill on Minor Avenue, Denny Avenue, Stewart Street. Now, if you watch my video, you'll see that I went around the building on this side, and this side. Right up against the building, they've got dirt that has not been backfilled up against the building. They put their foundation in and they never backfilled. So I broke it down. On Minor Avenue, there's 345 feet by 8, 6-inch depth of dirt we got to put in, just dirt backfill. And then of course we already got the crushed rock in on the bid, so we don't have to worry about that. On Denny Avenue, 415 feet by 10, 30-inch depth. And then Stewart Street, 235 by 6, with 30-inch depth. I might be a little bit high on that, but we want to be in that direction, not under. Okay, so that's, we got to bring in a backfill dirt all around the 3 sides of the building. And like I said, my video shows it for Rev 1. Number 4, rat slab in the alleyway. So this whole alleyway right here, they told us to just separate this cost out as a separate line item on the bid. So that rat slab, they just want to see it as a separate cost. Kind of like what we did on First Light when we separated out the hoist base to remove on that job. They want to see this as a separate line item. Out of the total cost, what is the cost to do that? So it's pretty simple. We have the total for this in our job costing, but we need to show them separately what this cost will be, because they might take it out and not have us do it. So they're going to want to know what that price is. Okay, so we just have to take it out of our spreadsheet, figure out what the percentage is on that, and then in the bid, it needs to be a line item that says the cost. Okay, number 5. 2 ADA ramps, R&R at the corner of Minor and Virginia. Please separate this into an existing, it's supposed to say, please separate this existing cost as a separate line item on the bid. So we had earlier taken, there was 2 ADA ramps up here in this corner on Virginia and Minor. They want this work to be separated out so they can see what it is for that cost there, because they don't know if they're going to have to do that yet on that section, so they want to see what that costs just for that. Number 6, 3 ADA ramps on Denny in Virginia. Same thing. They want to take the 3 ADA ramps that we had on this up in the corner. There was that ramp, and that ramp. They want to have that as a separate cost, as well as this area in here on its own bid. To do the concrete and do the ADA ramp. Scratch that, never mind about the concrete in here. But the ADA ramps, they want a separate cost on what it would be to remove and replace those ADA ramps. Truncated domes, everything. Number 7, excavation for Silva cells. We're doing these currently out at First Light, and it takes roughly 3 to 4 hours to dig out those Silva cells, according to Christian. So I looked on here, there's quite a bit along this street here on Denny. So there's a large run of Silva cells all down Denny Way. Then there's some inside the island here, and then there's some on approximately half of Stewart Street. So what I did was I looked up on the square footage. As you can see, if you look on these drawings here, there's like this weird kind of checkerboard pattern that goes through. Well, that's where Silva cells sit in the ground. So I took the quantities, duration of time it takes to dig those out so they can put those Silva cells in, and then it all gets covered up, and then we go over the top of it with crushed rock. But it's approximately for Stewart and Yale, it's 4 days times 3 guys. Full days, 4 full days times 3 guys for mini excavator, 10-yard dump, and that's about it. They might have the Bobcat, but I think on First Light all Tristan did was use the mini excavator, 10-yard dump. Remove native soil and haul away. So 36-inch depth on the Yale Island here. We've got 12 by 7 and 4 by 8. Okay, those dimensions right there are at 36-inch depth, and we have to haul that dirt away. And then on Stewart Street, 102 feet by 3 feet right here. Okay, so that's that for those 2 streets, and then excavations for Silva cells across the length of Denny. So all across this length, there's a long stretch of it. You've got 326 feet by 3 at 36-inch depth. Again, 4 days, 3 guys to do this work with a mini excavator and a 10-yard dump truck. Now there's these concrete footings that we need to put in for bus shelters and benches. There's no rebar in it. There's a detail on sheet 34. And on Stewart Street, we'd have to excavate these holes 10-inch depth. And there's 2 of them that are 9 foot by 7 and 9 by 7. Once we dig that out, haul out that 10 inches of dirt, then we do rock placement, 4-inch depth at 9 by 7, 9 by 7, and then a concrete pour at 6-inch depth, 9 by 7, 9 by 7. That's for Stewart Street, and it's right about there and there. Those are 2 bus shelters that need a concrete pad. Okay, so we have to excavate those out and put it in. So Stewart Street, then you got Yale Street, same scope of work here. That's what we got to do on Yale. There is only one location, and it's approximately right here in that island. So now there's concrete bases for benches. Okay, they've got these stone paver benches that they're putting in, but they need a footing, and they need like a vertical footing and a horizontal footing for some different locations. So on sheet 36, this is what we'd be excavating down into the ground, digging this area out, putting in a horizontal footing and then a vertical footing right up on top. This footing down here is only a foot tall, and then this is a side view, by the way, of the bench. It goes longer than that, but you've got 2.5 feet by 1 foot, and then 1 foot high, and then the length per the drawings. And it shows up here on page 36 where you've got a bench here, there, 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 and there. There's 5 total on Denny Way. 4 of them are 20 feet long, and then 1 of them is 25 feet long. So for the concrete footings for the benches, we would have to dig out, put this in. This is the horizontal footing, this is the vertical footing. They're 2.5 feet wide. The length is however long the bench is, and then the height is only a foot on that. And there's 5 locations here. I'm not sure if I'm duplicating this or not, because I noticed that my video wasn't running. But there's 5 different benches on Denny Way. 4 of them are 20 foot long, and only 1 of them is 25 foot long. So this is what we'd have to do to excavate and put in all the horizontal benches that are only 20 feet long, which is 4 each. This is what we'd have to do to excavate for it. Put in 8 inches of rock at the bottom, like it shows here, and then pour. Okay, so that's for the 4 benches that are 20 foot long. And then there's one that's 25 foot long. And then to form and pour the vertical part of it, we just have to pour it on top, form and pour the vertical footing. There's 4 of them that are 20 foot by 1 foot by 2 foot. And then there's 1 of them that's 25 foot by 1 foot by 2 foot. Okay, so we're adding that in there. Labor for excavating trenches for conduit and handholds. So this is what I've learned at First Light, and I've learned at Terry, is that they'll want us to do some simple conduit trenching along the curbs, and there'll be a couple other areas here. I've already put in labor for digging out those silva cells, but and then for doing the benches and whatnot. But this specifically is just extra days that I'm plugging in for doing excavating for the company. For Denny Way, I put in 3 guys times 4 days. That's with a mini, a bobcat, and a 10-yard dump. That way we can haul stuff out if we need to and do some excavating, because I'm positive they'll probably ask us, just like they have done at First Light and they've done at 707 Terry. So Stewart, Yale, Minor. I only put 1 day in for Yale because it's pretty much just that island. Minor Avenue, it's a long road there. So that is me throwing that in there, and I already told the customer I was going to do that for now. So they, like I said before, they'd like to start in October. They'd like to finish the job by the end of the year if possible, is what they're hoping for. And I made it very clear that we're still working on First Light, we're still working on 707 Terry. We're trying to get those wrapped up before we start diving into this job. So I made that clear. Now everybody just needs to get on the same page with us at First Light and at 707 Terry. There was one more thing I needed to put in, number 12, excavate light pole bases. There's some light pole bases over here and maybe one over here, but they wanted me to plug in for 4 of them to remove, and that means using a vac truck to clear out the dirt that's around those. And we have to take them down fairly deep in order to get them out of there, which if they're normal light pole bases, they could be up to 8 feet deep. So we need a vac truck rental for 2 days. I asked other questions about, you know, putting in light pole bases and other stuff. I talked about excluding striping all the way around this, and basically they said, we want you guys to go with that information that you've found so far off the drawings, and they'll give us a contract, and then if there's other items that need to be done, we'll put change orders together on it, just like I'm doing with 707 and First Light.